There's been a lot of talk in the crypto community recently about Jorg Molt. Who is Jorg Molt? He claims to be the Bitcoin's co-founder. Does this mean he's Satoshi? Who is he exactly? Jorg Molt's LinkedIn profile claims he's the Bitcoin co-founder, a visionary, author, freedom fighter, and writes, "Freedom is understanding Bitcoin, not DLT, distributed ledger technology." He's been invited to conferences and has spoken at various events all across the world. Recently, Jorg Molt shared a photo on Twitter with Andreas Antonopoulos, to which Antonopoulos quickly responded, "Apparently a German person named Jorg Molt has been showing a selfie with me and telling people that we are friends. This is a lie. I don't know him at all. I have heard from others that he claims to be the founder of Bitcoin and has thousands of BTC. A lie."
Yeah.
Here he is on the Wild West Crypto Show, telling people that he is the Bitcoin co-founder.
Right. I'm a Bitcoin co-founder.
Okay.
So
Yes.
now many people think they're a Bitcoin co-founder. Yeah, I'm not the founder. I'm a co-founder. It is a totally strong thing.
Now to the event that brought him to our attention, his fight with Kenneth Bosak at World CryptoCon. Warning, there is sensitive language.
All right, look, this guy right here, he's a fucking scammer. This dude, no, don't you look away. This guy's a fucking scammer. This guy right here, he's not Satoshi. He's telling people he's fucking Satoshi, but he's a fucking scammer. This fucking guy right here, you don't belong in this space. Get out. Yeah, I'm here. Say something. Say something. This fucking guy is a piece of shit scammer.
Take it out.
No.
Take it out.
Oh, no.
Now we have Kenneth Bosak with us to tell us what happened.
For joining us on this Block Journal interview today.
Thanks for having me. Much appreciated.
So, Ken, you've been a part of some controversy recently because of your confrontation with this self-proclaimed Satoshi called Jorg Molt. Ken, you've been mentioning on social media that you first ran into Jorg Molt on the Coinsbank cruise in 2017. Is that correct? And if so, can you tell us a little bit more about that experience?
Yeah, that is correct. I was on the Coinsbank cruise. I believe it was 2018 and or 2017. I'm not sure exactly which one. But yeah, I was there, and on the cruise ship, I overheard people talking about somebody claiming to be Satoshi, and we all thought it was like kind of a joke, like, there's somebody just like kind of making a meme out of, what Craig Wright was doing at the time and just having fun with it, and kind of wrote it off. Then later on during the cruise, I was having drinks with John McAfee and his wife Janice at the time at the bar, and this guy walks up to me and introduces himself as Satoshi, and I was like, "Wait, what?" And he was like, "No, I created Bitcoin. I'm Satoshi." And I thought like maybe it's just a joke, and like he was like, "No, you don't know me. Like I did." And I kind of started yelling at this guy at the time. I was a little drunk. I was on a cruise. It was a party night. But yeah, I kind of was like, "You're not Satoshi, get away from me." One of John McAfee's bodyguards ended up taking that Jorg Molt guy at the time away from me. And that was like the last time I saw him on the cruise ship. And I never really heard about him or heard anything. I kind of thought he was a harmless, weirdo trying to be, a creator of Bitcoin. I didn't think it was worth my time to mention anything, but I definitely said something at the moment. I just didn't think to, whip out the phone at the time.
So we've spoken to John McAfee and his wife Janice before, and he can be quite a direct and confrontational himself too. Do you remember if John McAfee himself had any reaction to Jorg Molt's claims?
I think John was actually actively DJing with Brock Pierce, like at the DJ booth when that actually occurred. But I don't personally recall. I know, in Vegas, he was, introducing himself as the co-founder with, business cards and on-stage presence, and nobody thought to question it. They all kind of just like let it slide and didn't ask for any proof or anything. So I imagine on the Coinsbank cruise, people probably just, let it slide as well and just went with the flow.
Interesting. So you talk about this World CryptoCon conference in Las Vegas, and a video you posted on Twitter, which at press time and interview time currently has over 190,000 views on it. So in the video, you confront Jorg Molt. You seem to approach Mr. Jorg Molt with quite a direct and aggressive attitude.
Yeah.
Can you tell us a little bit about from the beginning of the conference? When was the first time you realized he was there, and what made you decide to approach him?
Well, right before World CryptoCon, after the Coinsbank cruise, I ran into him in my hometown in Philadelphia. He was at a conference called Coinvention, and I was, seeing people that I thought were, hey, friends, incredible people, like rubbing elbows with this guy, and I'm like, hey, I met him on a cruise ship. Like he's telling people he created Bitcoin, or he's Satoshi, or he's somehow, something that he's not. And some of the people that I said this to that were getting closer to him were like, yeah, but he's kind of dialed that down a notch. He doesn't. I'm like, but he did it. And, so it was just, I was getting frustrated seeing him in my own hometown, manipulating people in from my meetups at a conference in my city. I kind of just like let it kind of go. Like, I feel bad saying that I let it go, but I just didn't want to make a big deal out of it. It didn't, again, he seemed fairly harmless. I thought he might, honestly think he might even be challenged or something. But and then in World CryptoCon, I'm in this facility with mining software, mining machines, and this is like, I'm overhearing people say, oh, Satoshi's here. Someone's claiming to be Satoshi. And somebody pulled me aside and was like, hey, Ken, did you hear about this guy telling people he created Bitcoin? And I'm like, wait, he said he created it? Like, yeah, he said he is Satoshi. And I was like, who is it? And they kind of like pointed him out. And I was like, yo, that's the guy from the cruise. That's the guy from Philly. This is 3 times too many times this has happened. And, I realized that he's introducing himself as one thing in one way and another thing in another. If he is on stage or in front of reputable people, maybe he's just a co-founder of Bitcoin, which is already an insane claim to make. In front of a small audience, people in the audience, the attendees, he's Satoshi. He created Bitcoin, and he uses that stage presence of, being a Bitcoin co-founder to add clout to the claims that he makes when he's one-on-one with people that may not be the wiser. So I got upset after I put all of that together, and I started to feel really guilty because I didn't really say anything publicly on the cruise. I didn't really say anything publicly in Philly. So like by the time I heard in Vegas, it was like one of those see something, say something things. And I felt like I was being compliant with this fraud by not saying something on my social platform, on my soapbox, to like let people know, like, this guy is telling people that he is Satoshi. Yes, he may not have told you that, but he's telling individual people that he believes he can manipulate that he is Satoshi. And he's also publicly saying that he co-founded Bitcoin.
I think the cryptocurrency community, especially on social media, whether his claims are true or not, we're not one to judge. But we're certainly glad that your actions brought this to attention, because prior to your video, a lot of people may not have known that Jorg Molt was going around claiming that he was Satoshi. A question about some of the you mentioned that some of the attendees at the conferences you've been to, you've already ran into him 3 times in a short span of time. A lot of people may not have heard of him before. What do you think some of the people that around at the conferences you've been to or at the meetups you've been to think about Jorg Molt? Do most people not really care? Do they believe that he's Satoshi, or do they have more negative things to say about him?
I haven't heard anything from really anybody. Maybe 1 or 2 very reputable, maybe I could mention, like, not the name of, but a creator of a currency has come to me and said, this person, is basically a fraud. And, they introduced them to, themselves as, the Bitcoin co-founder to them. And they kind of laughed it off and didn't think anything of it. And that's sort of like what my first impression was, kind of like, oh, this dude's just, being a crypto Twitter troll at a conference. But after a while, you get the point that he's trying to be serious, that this is what he really believes. And see him on, these podcasts and see him on stages where nobody has ever once asked for proof. He's claimed that he owns over 250,000 Bitcoin. Recently, just now today, there was a podcast that he did with the Wild West Crypto Show, and he proved that he had over 400-something thousand Bitcoin by playing a video of him logging into a wallet on Block Explorer. Yeah. So like he proved he owns 450,000 or something plus Bitcoin by playing a video of him logging into a wallet. That's the proof that this man has provided when being confronted publicly about, scamming people with his claims. And I feel like, we're going to see a lot of silver tongue around this, a lot of, wording, a lot of shady ways to get around this whole, oh, I'm the co-founder of Bitcoin because I helped create a thing that created a thing that helped make Bitcoin. He's not mentioned in the white paper. He's not mentioned anywhere in anything as far as I know, as far as I could find. I haven't seen anything about this man until 2016. So to be a co-founder of Bitcoin on stage and being introduced, to people as Satoshi when he's one-on-one or in smaller groups, it's just being a malicious actor. Somehow he's taking advantage of people. He has his Bitcoin retirement or Bitcoin pension plan, and he has his Satoshi school. It's all just very sketch when you look at the way things go and look into like the stories of the people that are already saying that like he's taking advantage of them.
Some of the after effects that have happened largely due to your video confronting Jorg Molt have been there have been websites. There's been a website that has popped up called Nakamoto.io where this website is completely dedicated to exposing this Jorg Molt character's background, his plans, what he does in business, where he sells this Bitcoin retirement plan to people. Also, there have been a lot of attention in the news and cryptocurrency media all over many different websites discussing this. So we're certainly glad that this happened. I mean, if he is a fraud, we're glad that you created this amount of attention towards it. I'd like to ask you a little bit about the confrontation itself. So we've had two sources of videos. One is from yourself, where it's a self-taken video of you confronting him, and then another video is from a third-person point of view, mostly at the same time, filming the same time you were confronting him. So in the video, you confronted him, and then shortly after, in between, he appears to knock your hat off, and then maybe an associate of his or someone at the conference is starting to defend him and ask you to leave. Can you tell us what happened right after that? Did he also another question is, during the video, you couldn't really hear what he was saying to you. If you have anything to add about what he might have been saying, also what happened after.
Yeah, so first off, I mean, I'm hella embarrassed of myself in the video, like for real. I'm not the person that should be saying something about a man claiming to be the founder of Bitcoin. I mean, Charlie Lee was in the same damn room as me when he saw this guy on stage with the same claims. I mean, somebody more reputable could have said something in a very different way, but they didn't. So it's like, it came down to me, and I don't want to do this. I didn't want to do this. I felt responsible to do this, and I did it the best way I could, and my emotions were involved because I felt responsible for not doing it sooner. So just to get that out of the way. But yeah, I mean, I started to record the video, and I was just going to walk past him, point out his face. I even forgot the guy's name. I just knew that he was telling people he was Satoshi. And I was just going to post a quick little video on Twitter and kind of just put that out there and let people crowdsource their own, do their own research and see what, the community comes up with crowdsourced information, out of that. And that's sort of what's happened. And I walked away after about 20, 30 seconds. I was like, this guy's a scammer. Make sure you get a good look at his face. And I went to walk away. And then, he started, cursing at me. He was like, motherfucker, get over here. And I was like, oh, okay, cool. I'll come over here. What? Dad, say something. Let's have this conversation. He didn't say anything other than that. He didn't say this man is lying, which is immediately what an innocent person would do when confronted in such a manner that I confronted them in a public forum. No innocent person would have just stood there and just said nothing. They would have made sure that they got the point across, especially on video, that they are innocent. I am a liar. That is not what he did. His first instinct was to take a swing at me, and then he hit my hat and missed, and I thought he was going to hit me again. So my first instinct was to swing in case somebody was coming closer to me, and he ended up taking a step away instead of a step towards. So there really wasn't any altercation, but there could have been. The bald gentleman that tried to split everything up and tried to kick me out of the conference for exposing the man who was claiming to be the co-founder of Bitcoin, was a company that had a booth there for headphones. So he wasn't a cryptocurrency person. He absolutely knew nothing about Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. this gentleman was just selling headphones at a booth because he could. So that's what it really came down to. And I don't know. It was just one of those situations where like everything happened so fast. It's hard to really like think about like why I did everything I did in the moment or whatever. But I definitely would have never swung at the guy. Like he swung at me first. That's insane to me. It never even occurred to me that it would ever get physical. I was actually hoping for a verbal debate. Like, no, I'm not a scammer. You're a liar. And I'd be like, no, you're a scammer. You're a liar. And that didn't happen. And it was just weird to see everybody saw what was happening and everybody kind of just like let it go. And nobody said anything. I kind of just walked away, and I did a couple interviews immediately after that because the conference was wrapping up. And I really I didn't have the time to, deal with the situation. So I kind of detached myself from that moment and just started interviewing a couple companies, and I got out of there. I started to tell a couple people, what happened to me. And the guy who actually helped really stop the altercation is Tim from Bits and Tokens. They have that second perspective where you can see him try to hit me and just like gets my hat. And that, he kind of stepped in and really helped calm the situation down, just helped, walk me away from it. So I just want to say thanks to those guys.
Well, we're certainly glad you're okay. You walked out of the situation, fine. Were there any negative repercussions after? Has anybody from his team or associates contacted you? Has there been any legal issues after?
No, I would imagine he would have to prove his claims in order to do anything about like anything to do with like character defamation or anything. I'm not worried about saying this man is not Satoshi when he's telling me to my face that he was. But there has been some amazing positive. Like he even showed Bitcoin Ben, one of my buddies, photos with him and Andreas, saying that they're friends. So I made a post on Twitter saying, hey, Andreas, this guy's introducing himself as a friend of yours and the Bitcoin co-founder. And Andreas himself has gotten involved and did his own due diligence, did his own research, and has come to his own conclusions of who this man is. So that is probably one of the most beneficial, but I am expecting repercussions. I mean, he just proved that he has almost 500,000 Bitcoin. I can't imagine he will just do nothing.
Well, thanks for coming on this interview with us and sharing your insight into this very interesting situation. And we're glad you shined some light on this whole situation with Jorg Molt. Appreciate it, Ken.
Appreciate your time. If anything, guys, if you see something, say something. It's our responsibility to self-regulate.